But yeah, I'm going to talk about design thinking in Agile, and you can call me Raph. Thank you, my man. Agile Delivery Manager from Bilue, former Agile Transformation Coach from Zwillig Pharma, and I took Masters of Innovation in Business as well, just to expand my skills on innovation rather than technical or Agile coaching. And I've been in the industry for 17 years in IT, been a developer, designer, QA, business analyst, PM, Scrum Master, Agile coach, hybrid stuff. So I've been there, done that, and there's a lot of paid points per role. And yeah, in the past 9 years, I focus on Agile Delivery and Transformation. But for now, I'm going to tell you a story about human-centered design, right? So I'm introducing Doug Dietz. He's a 24 years veteran of General Electric, a lead designer developer of an $18 billion medical imaging machine. So as you can see here, he built this MRI machine, and it took for him 2.5 years to build it. He's actually entered into the International Design Excellence Awards as well. But along the process, after developing the product, he realized something. 80% of pediatric patients have to be sedated. So he witnessed anxiety and fear of a kid trying to use a scary MRI machine, right? And so what did he do? He took human-centered classes. He had an ideation innovation class, sessions, and he tried to empathize and observe with the current users, right, of all ages. And towards that process, he gained empathy towards young children. And all throughout the process, he also met with child specialists, reached out to local experts with Children's Museum, hospital doctors, and staff. So basically, they did a lot in that workshop. And this process is from the Institute of Design of Stanford. Google actually uses the same framework. It's called the 3 E's. So you also empathize, you expand your thinking, and to try to experiment. But these 5 stages basically shows the entire end-to-end process on how to build products and actually how to identify the problem and solve it, right? So in the empathize stage, you learn about the audience. So you do user interviews, customer journey maps. You have different types of questions in those interviews, probing questions and things like that. Then after that, you now define the different problems of the different personas of your of the people that you interviewed. And after that, you start ideating the possible solutions to those complex problems. And you build representations of those ideas through what? Through prototypes. So it can be wireframes, storyboards, even actual physical prototypes or mock-ups, right? And at the end, you test the idea and gain feedback. And to be honest, if you've been in these workshops, it's quite long. It takes days. And it doesn't mean that you're in the ideate stage, you cannot go back to the empathize stage. You can always go back and validate the prototypes, the tests, or even when you're stuck in defining those problems, you can go back to the empathizing stage and gain more data from your users as well. So this is much as a big slide. It's a lot of info, but that's pretty much the entire, the design framework of Stanford, basically. And all throughout that process, from that boring MRI machine, they tried to build an adventure series in General Electric. And they have different concepts. Here we have the Pirate Island. And the thing that they did here is that they asked for the children to really not move during the MRI operation, and so that they can get a treasure pack after the entire experience. So that's why they're not panicking. They're just inside that machine, right? And we also have sort of stuff. We have the Coral City as well. And what's cool is I like the space runway as well, because MRI produces like big bangs and boom, boom, booms inside. So basically, the one that's operating tells the children, wait for the loud boom, boom, boom sound because we're about to launch a rocket ship and go to the spaceship, right? So they're trying to make that experience well off for the children. Now, I've shared with you quickly the entire design thinking process and what's the experience of dog with those pediatric children. And now, how does that synergize with Agile? You might be thinking, well, it's not a software development, it's actual product development. But there's a lot of similarities in what we're trying to do as developers and software developers. So what I've shared is design thinking. That's the very first step that's recommended across the industries to really explore the problem. So we try to discover what's the problem, what do we need to prioritize, what are the main pain points of our audiences. And the main pain point of those children are anxiety and fear all throughout the process. And again, don't forget, they get sedated before the experience, so they're not even awake. All right, so just imagine you're putting some chemicals in your body just to go through that experience. So it's not really a pleasant experience for them. Then all throughout that process, if you know the lean thinking that came from Toyota in the 1960s in manufacturing, because they want to ease up the entire process, just try to eliminate wastes along the manufacturing line and supply chain. But the goal here is to actually build the right things, because there's a lot of problems when you're trying to discover, right? So you need to prioritize, and you also need to measure and learn. And we're not even in the delivery phase yet. What we're doing here is actual prototypes and mock-ups, because it's quicker and it's more cost efficient, right? The goal here is to get feedback fairly quickly. So again, build, measure, and learn. And try to inhabit in the lean thinking. So you're kind of discovering and reiterating, and before you build the actual product. So for us, we heard about Agile Delivery and Scrum. It's our day-to-day activities and what we're trying to do with different software physical products. But we're really focused on this like almost every day. So we need to know, and I think it will be very beneficial to know what are the real problems are, right? It's also good for our product owners to share the roadmap, the vision, why we're doing these things, knowing about the data points from before implementing a product and after, and even during, right? So again, Scrum is all about value creation through iterations. And even if you're trying to build the actual product, you want to have a faster delivery to fill again the loop of that entire discovery, because discovery never ends. And that's why you have a product roadmap. So this is always an ongoing cycle. It doesn't mean you launch your MVP and that's it, right? Because constantly you're trying to build and gather feedback. Now, just to reiterate, everything that we have to do is user desirable. Okay, user desirable for the children who's trying to experience that MRI experience. It also has to be technically feasible, right? We can build the sun, moon, and stars, but if you don't have the ability to innovate and create these things, there's no point. So everything has to be ready when you're trying to reach the delivery phase. And as a whole, it has to be business viable, right? All of these means that you have to understand the business side. Are we, generating revenues? Are we having profits? Does it make sense for our user base and customers? So as a whole, it has to be viable and well thought of across the board, right? So at the end of the day, we're trying to produce some business and real life products for our users, and it has to be sustained through profits as well. Now, just to focus on those three circles being having the business viability, user desirability, and technical feasibility, we always have to start here from the users. It always has to be desirable because no one will use it. It doesn't make any sense. So when we're building things, it's not because of deadlines or because a CEO wants it. We have to be open-minded, and we really have to challenge everyone across the organization as much as we can, because it's really boring to develop things when there's no meaning into it, right? So you have to be inspired in your day-to-day tasks. And again, just showing you, there are some overlaps between business viability and technical feasibility, but it won't work if it's not user desirable. If you have user desirability, but you're not business viable, it's not technically feasible, it doesn't make any sense, right? So you always have to have the sweet spot of innovation. And when I'm talking about innovation, it's not like, I have to build something that's not built yet, right? No, innovation means that, you can take inspiration from other people and other products, existing products, and make that better for our users. Again, always go to the user desirability, all right? Going back to my story, you know what? After they built that, sedated patients decreased from 80% to less than 1%. That's really great. And I know that sedating patients takes $500. It's really not cost efficient as well. And again, it's not really a good experience. And the patients and the satisfaction increased as well. So human-centered design can lead to breakthrough innovations and new technologies. We can be better in serving people and create a better version of the future. Dog's greatest reward about the entire experience is when a 6-year-old who was scanned by the pirate MRI asked, "Mommy, can we come back tomorrow?" And this is like the entrance, right? You're outside the X-ray news, but probably let's just remove that thing. It's quite boring, but this is it. You entice the children to actually go back. But you don't need to go back every day, but there's no point, right? But can you imagine? And Dog Dites actually has a TED Talk, and I'm greatly inspired about his story. And just go to YouTube, go to the TED Talk, and search for his name. It's a really good story to tell more about this thing. And don't forget to have fun. It's because he said when you design for meaning, good things will happen. So this is them after the launch and being successful with the entire product. Because we always get stressed from our day-to-day things, and we have short-term goals, sprint goals, but we always have to think about the overall product and long-term goals, right? And if it doesn't make any sense, challenge your product owners, challenge the business, right? Because it's not just because you want to be inspired in what you're doing every day, but everything has to go back to the user desirability. If you launch this product, will people use it? That's it for me. Questions?
We have time for a question or two. Oh, awesome.
Fantastic presentation, Rex. I've written down my question here, so I didn't forget.
Yeah, it's not scripted.
Yeah, it's not
I
scripted.
didn't tell you to ask. Okay.
Yeah, so you showed the sort of discovery and agile development stages and how they sort of overlap at a point. But during the pure discovery phase, before the dev work begins, how often would you want to connect to stakeholders outside of the team for feedback during that stage? Does it sort of follow the typical Scrum process of, every 2 weeks or so, or is it something you'd want to do more or less often without having too much interference from stakeholder side?
Yeah. Is the team already trying to build it?
No, so before the actual development begins,
discovery.
yeah, just during pure discovery.
Oh yeah, that's tough because they have too many meetings and they're busy.
Yeah.
So you have to be, for me, when I'm transforming organizations, I really partner with product owners and who's really accountable for different products, and to partner with that person and build relationships with their stakeholders, because it doesn't mean that you're a product owner, you have those great relationships with them as well. So that's number one. Number two, you have to really force them on attending these sessions. They don't have to attend the entire workshop, but at least attend in the exploring the problem phase, or even in the ideation phase as well, because most leaders already have ideas on what they need to do. It's just because they Googled it. It's trending, right? But you have to validate if that's really needed, because you're spending money and you're not even sure if users will use it, right? So you have to show them what are the results during the empathize stage, before the ideation. You can welcome them in the ideation stage and even show them the prototypes, what you're working on, even before building it. Because sometimes discovery are built just to justify business cases as well, before they give you the money to actually build it as well. So it's different scenarios that's playing, but always constant communication and a lot of, like Wei Ling and a lot of speakers said, common sense. Just keep that loop ongoing. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Cool, thanks.
Anyone else?
David.
Just building on top of that question about communication. So say if you are, I'm a developer myself. So say you are encouraging a team to be more design thinking centered and they come up with ideas. What sort of rituals or actions do you take to take advantage of those ideas from the team to the client?
Yeah, to be honest, it's the best case scenario is to involve them with the discovery phase. But again, some businesses have to be, people have to be utilized, right? Again, it has to be viable the entire process. But if there are times, even during the design sprints, during discovery, you're not building stuff, include the devs there, right? Because they can already validate if it's technically feasible during that stage. So having that technical perspective during discovery is really great. So keep them involved early in the stages rather than them just waiting to deliver the product. So yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
For technical, working with technical products, how do you get technical people, like I'm technical but I've turned into product manager, but for like a technical product, I find getting the switch for engineers into empathy can be hard. And like, I also know they're working all the time. So it's like how I'm finding it hard to kind of help prioritize that focus. I'm getting the focus on customer feedback part, but I want them to actually be empathizing rather than thinking about how to solve technical problems.
Got it.
So yeah, I'm just wondering what I think I need to implement design thinking more. But do you have particular activities or ways of handling that you've seen work really well to snap them out of like a default mode?
Snap. Yeah, it's sort of the Marvel Thanos.
Empathize.
End of the world. No, but I think we cannot really multitask. So it takes energy for people to be involved in certain activities, and design thinking is gonna extract all of your energy, right? And you want them to have a fresh mind, so you have to allocate certain time for them to do those activities of design thinking, whichever stage you choose. And it's again based on priorities. You need to do a development for the next month or 2 weeks, or take a pause. We have launched a product. Probably let's invite all of the technical people to actually be involved with the next discovery of the product roadmap. So it's just, I don't know, basic focus and time management, I would suppose. It's really hard for them to develop at the same time, ask them to be creative, right? We're mostly creative when we're in the shower, right? Singing, I should do this and that, So just focus time management and give them that leeway and space to be more creative.